He also won Best Speaker and Paper Writer in a Students' National Conference held in Pune. Apart from that, he is also advisor to number of Government of Gujarat's corporation, and he has played active role in due diligence, agreement and vetting on behalf of corporations of Gujarat. So please welcome our esteemed speaker of today, Anand Sharma.
Thank you so much. And Chairman of Professional Development Committee, C. Karan, Convener of PDC, Ronak Khandwala, Secretary Rishabh Shah, and my dear friend and President, C. Monisha. Thank you very much. I mean, this would be my maiden lecture for this particular year. And it's good that I'm starting with, my net practicing is starting from CA Association. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
So, thing is, yes, the foremost thing which is coming in your mind as of now would be that allocations ne badhu kai ritna thase. Yet, I don't think that anyone would have received any branch audit allocations. Like yesterday evening, I spoke to the committee or the concerned people. Still, they have not received the panel from Reserve Bank of India. This is what I have been up. Yes.
Anand, just a second. I'm just going live on YouTube as well.
Yeah, it's okay.
And Monish ji, can you mute all the
Done that.
Thank you.
So, like, yet this the panel has not reached to the bank. It's still with RBI. This is what I've been appraised yesterday. And let us expect, again, like last year, if we see that then the allocations came around 25th or 27th of March. Let's hope that, they give us the allocations by 21st or 22nd max, because there's a lot of process that goes through. There's a lot of, mechanism which have been involved. And yes, I would request and suggest that just keep checking your emails, more particularly the email ID which you've given in your multi-purpose empanelment form, not only the inbox, but also the spam. Because normally, they will send to you on through email only, and you'll have to respond it within 24 hours. So just keep on checking right from today, or maybe from Monday. Do check your spam, because a lot of these emails from the banks, they go in spam also. Okay, so starting with planning and documentation, I'll be taking you through the contents of today's today's subject would be like audit planning, audit risk, runway of execution of bank audit documentation for bank branch audit file, particularly audit documentation for advances, data and details to be obtained before commencing the audit, and recent clarifications. There are few clarifications which have come, and of course, later on, Hitesh Bhai would definitely be, enlightening us on the recent clarifications. But I'll just discuss a few of them, that have come. So why audit planning? See, again, we know that bank branch audit or any other audit, planning is very important. Once you plan properly, I think 50% of your job gets over. Branch audit, bank branch audit particularly, there are a lot of changes in CPA software every day, or every week, since we being statutory central auditors, we keep on receiving so many changes that are being made. So CPAs, there have been a lot of changes, so we have to be very much acquainted with the software. Frequent changes in RBI guidelines. You all know various notifications and circulars are coming from RBI time to time. Frequent pronouncement by ICI. ICI also pronounces various by through of the guidance note is also guidance note has come. I think it came on 11th of February. So please download it if you don't have, or you can get hard copy also, whatever form you want. So that guidance note is very important for you people. Because it will cover a lot of things. You will have a lot of clarifications from that guidance note. Planning is required for limited period of time of audit. As you all understand, you'll be getting appointment letters by in the last week of March, second of March, and then once you will receive this, probably when you'll call those branches, they will say that yes, they will be ready by 4th or 5th or 6th, and once they are ready, they will, after 3 days, they'll start demanding the reports. So the time period, the paucity of time is really a challenge for all of us, and therefore we have to plan well in advance, so before commencing the audit. And effective internal control systems also. If COFAR, again, it has been made mandatory for majority of the banks. So IFC is also very important whenever you'll be visiting. So plan for that too. Audit planning, again, standards on auditing per se, I would say that all standards on auditing are applicable to bank branch audit also. So SA 300, planning and audit of a financial statement. Again, they are saying planning and audit of a financial statement. So we have to just ensure that whenever we plan, we have to see that whatever planning is being made, those are in conjunction with the presentation to the financial statement. You should plan in a way that ultimately you will be certifying the financial statement. Of course, there are various certificates also, LFA are also, so many things, but your major concentration will definitely go on financial statements and those numbers which are coming into the profit and loss account and balance sheet of that particular branch. Auditor will have to document the audit plan and conduct a preliminary inquiry to know the nature, size, and category of the branch to be audited. So thing is, whenever you will be getting an appointment, certain preliminary inquiries you will have to make that will really help you in making an audit plan properly. Being an auditor, you will have to assess the risk involved in the branch being audited. So now what could be the risk? I mean, there are basically 3 types of risk, which I feel is inherent, control, and detection risk. Again, the simple thing which we should know is that inherent, whatever the risk, if you're getting any branch, હવે આપણે કયા કયા aspects જોવાના કે branch audit ના અંદર risk કયા કયા આવી શકે. So the first and important thing is that what type of branch it is, whether it's a small branch, whether it's a mid corporate branch, or whether it's an agriculture advanced branch, or particular sector, priority sector branch. So that all these preliminary inquiries you will have to make before making your audit plan. Depending on the nature of transaction executed at the branch, the audit plan should be designed. Again, the nature of transaction executed at the branch. Now, there could be some branches where only mudra loans would be given or small agriculture finance. So there would be n number of transactions. You might find, there are like transaction of, there could be advances of 75,000 to 1 lakh, but those the transactions would be running into 500 files or 1000 files or 1500 files. Or there could be a branch where you will have only 1 or 2 big accounts and the transactions would be limited. So that all these things you'll have to initially make certain inquiries and then you'll have to plan your audit. So general branches will have one set of audit plan and specialized branches will have different audit plans based on the nature of transactions executed at the branch, such as treasury. As I told, I mean, you'll have to see what type of branch it is, whether it's a treasury, forex branch, service, clearing branch. So depending on that, you will have to make your audit plan. Now, even SA also requires that we have to document this audit plan. So we have to document this with respect to the timing, with respect to the extent of checking, audit procedures to be followed at the assertion level, and should be, and of course it should be flexible and updated or changed as and when necessary. Now, sometimes they would say that yes, there is only one advance which is there, so they have only one party. But then when you will go there, you will find that yes, there are multiple advances given to that particular party, or it would be geographically located at different place. It can be anything. So once you are there, and if need comes that yes, my plan was not correct, then you will have to be flexible and keep on updating, and those are required to be documented. See, documentation is very important. Khali planning apne baat karine, we have to write letter, we'll have to communicate, we have to create records. All these things are required for an audit planning. as a part of audit planning, again, as soon as normally you'll be physically going to the branch on around 3rd or 4th of April. But yes, I would suggest that we can ask for certain documents, from the branch manager. And of course, એની તો હંમેશા ના જ આવશે કે હા આપી દઈશું આ છે, but I feel that certain documents upfront are required to be collected, because we may understand, yes, the branch is good, everything would be fine, but the branch manager probably would be speaking ke no, everything is good, બધું જ છે, બેજ client છે, અહીંયા બેજ advances છે, all these things are there. But then as an auditor, before making any audit plan, you will need certain set of inquiries and certain set of documents કે તમે properly એને execution of plan પણ તમારું properly થઈ શકે. LFAR, I would say, that is also very important. LFAR too detailed છે now, that I would say that if you start with LFAR, majorly you will be able to cover up the entire bank branch audit. So read all the clauses of LFAR, ensure that you are performing LFAR in a right manner. It's just not about writing things, it is really about execution of a bank audit. It will have everything, all set of questions are there. એક સારા ઓડિટ માટે જેટલી વસ્તુઓ જોઈ છે બધું જ LFAR ના અંદર હશે. So if you complete your LFAR judiciously and in a right manner, I think 80% of your branch audit would be over. What happens, I mean, if you do not plan properly? So consequences could be poor allocation of work, inadequate attention to high risk area, and poor audit quality. Sometimes if you don't plan, if you do not know, તમે કોઈ પણ inquiry without any documents, if you reach to that particular branch, you will hardly have 3 or 4 days to complete that particular branch, and on day one only you will get confused that from where I should start my audit. So these are these are high risk area per se for us actually. So if you do not have adequate knowledge before going to the branch about that particular branch, we will really end up somewhere where we should not end up, and of course it would hamper your audit quality also. What can be the audit risk again? So non-compliance with the RBI master direction, non-compliance with RBI circular with special emphasis on IREC norms, non-compliance with other RBI notifications, circulars, press release, divergence with RBI risk assessment report under supervisory program for assessment of risk and capital in terms of their annual inspection, non-compliance with respect to bank's closing circular, attestation of incorrect statement and audit report, non-compliance with technical standards issued by the ICI. So these are the risks which are being involved if for the bank branch audit. I would say that Reserve Bank of India, I mean, they select a lot of branches, I mean, those which are being audited, and they would go and ensure that whether the audit have been done properly or not, or if there are any divergence, be prepared for a letter from RBI. Of course, we being statutory central auditors, we also go through each and every report. Whatever reports are being sent by the branch auditors, we have to go through all those reports, and believe me friends, we hardly get 4 or 5 days, and we have to see like 600-700 reports in our circle. So please understand that nothing gets unnoticed. Somewhere or the other it is there. So please ensure that you don't do all the compliances pertaining to RBI master directions at least, and the bank closing circular, because bank closing circular again and this RBI master direction, both of them are Gita for us. Just follow them properly. So execution of bank audit, I would divide it into this 6 parts. First is understanding bank audit. There are certain pre-acceptance procedures, there are certain post-acceptance procedures, there are certain procedures which are required to be followed while you are executing the audit. There are certain aids for essential bank audit and compliances with SA issued by ICAI. For understanding and bank audit, you should have clarification regarding this 5. One is balance sheet, profit and loss account, LFAR, tax audit if it is applicable, and various certificates and returns, of course. So certificate could be in form of returns also. That could be, it depends on the bank. Normally certain banks do take different certificates, and certain banks, they will go for various returns also. So we have to understand what is balance sheet, how it has been drawn up, profit and loss account, alpha, tax audit, and certificates. Let us go through certain pre-acceptance procedures. So first of all, you'll be getting an appointment letter. After receiving an appointment letter, I would rather say before that, inquiry would be made to you that yes, we are planning to have you as an bank branch auditor. So that acceptance we will have to give. I think banks doesn't give more than 24 hours. So as soon as you receive, please immediately send your acceptance. If you're lucky enough and you're getting 2 or 3 different appointment inquiries from 3 different banks, friends, please ensure that you pick up only one bank. If you'll go for 2 banks, both of them might get rejected. So એ વખતે બહુ જ ધ્યાન રાખજો કે જે તમારે સપોઝ બે બેંકમાંથી તમને આવ્યું છે તો કોઈ પણ એક જ તમારે બેંક સિલેક્ટ કરીને અને એને તરત મોકલી દેવાનું છે. Once you send it, you cannot revert back. So that declaration and everything they are taking, I would always say જે પહેલા આવે એ લઈ લેજો. So don't wait that second would come, or કારણ કે એ વખત તમને ખબર પણ નહીં હોય કે કઈ બ્રાન્ચ તમને આપવામાં આવશે, કેટલી તમારી ફીસ હશે, શું હશે. So just take a call immediately and just send the acceptance letter to them, and send only to one bank. Another, you have to write it very clearly that we have accepted audit from this, and therefore અને એ કોમ્યુનિકેશન તમે લોકો કરી દેજો ભૂલ્યા વગર. સપોઝ તમને બે બેંકમાંથી આવે તો એકને એક્સેપ્ટન્સ તમારે આપી દેવાનું, બીજાને તમારે સ્પેસિફિકલી કહી દેવાનું છે કે મને આ બેંકમાંથી આવ્યું છે એટલે મેં ત્યાં આપી દીધું છે, and therefore I cannot accept this appointment as of now. That would help in a sense that if જે બેંકને તમે એક્સેપ્ટન્સ આપ્યું છે, સપોઝ if they would say for any reason કે નહીં હવે અમારે તમારા જોડે નથી કરાવવાનું, then you will have substantial document that yes, you received from this bank also. અને થોડું if you'll have to pursue at some authority, you will be able to pursue it. But be very clear in mind, don't send acceptance to 2 different banks. Select only one bank. Very much clear about it. Once you receive this appointment letter, take declaration of independence from your partners and other qualified professionals prior to accepting the assignment. Okay, ये लोग को independent तो छे के नहीं. Qualification as per Companies Act 2013. Of course, Companies Act majorly to the banks it is not applicable, but still for peer review purpose or for any other regulations, we should also see that we are meeting adequate qualifications as per Companies Act also, and the Chartered Accountants Act 1949. No objection certificate from previous auditor. Now this is a general and common parlance about no objection certificate, but what institute requires is there has to be a communication with the previous auditor. So there is no need to have an no objection certificate from the previous auditor. The only thing what you are required to do is you will have to communicate to the previous auditor. There are a lot of disciplinary cases I have heard, I've not seen, but I've heard that it comes because we do not communicate with the previous auditor before accepting the appointment. So once you give a consent and everything, and before start of audit, please communicate with the previous auditor. What can be there in the post acceptance procedures? So acceptance letter, timeline of the assignment, audit location and schedule, and review of pre-sign off checklist. What are essentials for bank audit? આજે આપણે audit ઉપર જઈએ છે, then what all things we should carry. So first is RBI guidelines. All RBI guidelines you must carry. Master circulars, master directions, circulars, press release, FAQs, etc. So have knowledge of this, carry along with you. આ બધી જ વસ્તુ હવે તો like online everything is available. So the recent circulars that have come, or if you are going to certain branch, maybe majority of those accounts there may be a restructured account, so have cognizance of those circulars also about restructuring. Bank closing circular. What is bank closing circular? Banks will normally, in consultation with statutory central auditors, they will issue a closing circular that yes, these are the duties and these are various audit or various certificates or returns that you have to check. So it details everything what is required from a branch auditor. Follow rigorously closing circular. કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ ક્લોઝિંગ સર્ક્યુલરની ડિમાન્ડેડ છે એ તમારે બાકી ના રહી જાય, otherwise your audit will not get over and it might tantamount that you have not done your audit properly. Closing circular is very important whenever you get or you can even, if you are an existing auditor of some bank, just you have time, like now you have 15 days, just go through like previous closing circulars, just check what all things you have to do. So this will really help you at the time of execution also and at the time of planning also. Inquiry letter, audit program, again audit plan and audit program, both of them. Audit program you will have to again design based on what type of branch it is, what type of transaction it is, how many chartered accountants are visiting or articles are visiting, or yourself or your partner. So all these things would come under your audit program. Board resolutions and approvals, so that you can very well demand from the branch manager if you are coming across anything which is contrary to what you feel should not have happened, and if there are certain resolutions which they say, then you can ask for those board resolutions and approvals also. List of changes during the year in RBI regulation to ensure compliances. Make a list wherever RBI regulations have been changed, new circulars which have been issued, make those changes, read it, make sure that you give adequate training to the staff, you yourself taken adequate training before going to the branch. Audit report formats, this all would come in closing circular, but you should be aware SA 700 there is a format which of course they design in consultation with statutory central auditors. So we do, the bank normally sends to us and we vet that yes, this audit reports and everything is good, and then later on these are getting approved by the bank manager and later on sent within the branches along with the closing circulars. MIS reports generated from CVS. We should have knowledge about various MIS reports because this would be very handy, friends. I would say that now physical file karta, all these things have become very important. There are a lot many reports. If you are aware of these reports, these MIS reports, half of your work would get over and it would be very easy. You have to be very smart, you have to be very intelligent about what type of reports you can generate from the CBS. Half of your work would get over, half of your work, rather than going and punching into physical files. Of course physical file apne certain vastuo માટે જોવી જ પડતી હોય છે, but then these reports will help you know that yes, આ બધા accounts છે મારે જોવાના છે, આ particular account અંદર આ વસ્તુ થઈ છે, like conduct of account or whatever it would be. So just have knowledge of MIS reports which are generated from CBS. Special checklist with respect to restructuring of advances. Prepare it if you feel that yes, if any restructuring of advances happen in that particular branch. Special checklist with respect to specialized area of bank. Now if you are having a bank which has only special operations, say for example only treasury is being taken care of, or only agri branches, it is only an agri branch, or it is a SME branch, so prepare checklist accordingly. Communication with previous auditor, I have already told. Implementation of MOCs of previous period. Now what is MOC? Basically MOC is memorandum of changes. So what happens is on 31st of March the bank books would be closed. On 1st of April, after 0 hours, you will not be able to make any changes in the system, or you will not be able to record any entry. So 31st March balance sheet and profit and loss account gets closed. In case at the time of audit, if you feel that certain entries are required to be recorded, and which is affecting the financial statements, or it may not affect the financial statements, it is done by way of MOC. Majority of MOCs are now online. We should have a clarity that whenever you are recording an MOC, it is just getting recorded, but it is not getting passed. So the at that particular point of time, you will not be able to see the effect. Say on 6th or 7th of April or 8th of April, if you pass certain MOCs in the system, you won't be able to see any effect on the financial statement at branch level. What happens normally is that whenever you are recording any MOC, whenever you are passing any MOC, it comes to either at zonal or at head office or at balance sheet management department, whatever bit, depending on the bank. They will then record this MOCs in the system, and thereby the financial statement at that level would get affected. So at this point of time, whenever you will be at the branch, you won't be able to see the effect of those MOCs. Therefore, implementation of MOCs of previous period. That means March 2021 previous auditor જેટલી MOC રેકોર્ડ કરી છે એ બધાની ઇફેક્ટ તો તમે આ વર્ષે જોઈ શકશો. So that is required to be seen. That is part of our duty. It would there also be in closing circular. We have to ensure that all the MOCs which were passed by the previous auditor are now adequately recorded. This is very important, friends. Take care of it. Now, compliances with essays issued by ICI. So I told that majority of essays are applicable. Essay 700 independent auditors report on financial statements. Essay 701 communicate the key audit matters in independent auditors report. Essay 705, that is modification to opinion in the independent auditors report. If you feel that yes, there are a lot of qualifications that are required to be made at branch level, you will have to ensure that the report which you issue is as per SA 705. So whenever there is a modification, SA 705 is applicable. SA 706, where emphasis of matter paragraphs and other matter paragraphs in the independent auditors report. Again, emphasis of matter, if you feel that yes, there are certain things on which you have to give emphasis, you will have to give. Friends, I would say that be very clear with whatever you are writing. Don't write it in loose ends. And it's not been considered properly at any level. તમે એવું વિચારો કે હું કોઈ વસ્તુને લખી દઉં અને હું છૂટી જઈશ, એવું નથી. Wherever you have to record an MOC, you will have to record an MOC. If the branch manager doesn't consent, કે એની dissent બતાડે છે, then you have to adequately write letter to the higher management. You have to write letter to at an appropriate level that manager is giving a dissent, and in this case I'll not be able to issue a clean report and I'll go for modification of the report. A modification of report karo, like branch જ્યારે એમ કહેતું હોય branch manager કે હું આ વસ્તુની MOC નહીં રેકોર્ડ કરવા દઉં, and he doesn't allow you. I mean, it's in higher extent. Normally this would not happen, but if such scenario comes up, okay, please ensure that you adequately qualify it with the figure, I mean the amount and the accounting heads which are getting affected. એટલે તમે લૂઝ એન્ડમાં ના મૂકી દેતા કે ભાઈ 10% provision is not being made. Okay, you will have to ensure that 10% provision, this is just an example, that instead of 10%, 20% provision is required to be made in this particular advances, and therefore the provisions are understated or overstated, whatever be it, by rupees this much, and thereby the advances are overstated, understated by rupees this much. Plus also there will be certain ratios that would be affected because of this, maybe gross NPA, net NPA, certain provisioning ratios or anything. So please ensure that you write properly. In case if they are not allowing you to record or to pass an MOC within the system. SQC1, standards on quality control. SA 210, agreeing to the terms of audit engagement. As we discussed, whenever you will be getting the inquiry, you will have to agree to the terms of audit engagement. So proper letter should be written from our end that would comply with SA 210. SA 230, audit documentation. We will see further what all audit documents we'll have to keep in the file. You have to comply with SA 230. SA 240, the auditor's responsibility relating to fraud in an audit of the financial statement. Again, SA 240 is also applicable. Please ensure if you feel that there is a fraud, follow all the processes and everything which is given in SA 240. SA 260, communication with those charged with the governance. For you, governance would be either zonal office, head office, or to the branch. So various different mode of communication you will have to keep on making with those charged with the governance. SA 300, planning of audit of financial statement, that we already looked into. SA 315, identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. Friends, just document all these things, because you will have to document everything કે હું આ particular branch ના અંદર આટલી risk છે, આના કારણે material misstatement થઈ શકે છે. How you will understand those entity, how you will understand those environment, and how you will concluded it. So the conclusion on your work paper is also very important. You will have to conclude each and everything that yes, these were the risks. I have assessed all this risk. Another material misstatement નથી, another હોઈ શકે છે, આના માટે મેં આ step લીધા છે. For this, I have my extent of checking I've increased or I've reduced. આ લેવલ ઉપર મેં reduce કર્યું છે, આ લેવલ ઉપર મેં વધારે કર્યું છે, ને આ બધું કરીને, and I have ensured that I have assessed the risk properly. But all these things are required to be documented by you in a work paper. SA 320, materiality in planning and performing an audit. So there would be two materiality levels, I would say. One, the preliminary, and second would be the final materiality level. So materiality you will have to define depending on the branch you are getting. તો materiality પણ એ પણ document કરી દેજો, તો ક્યારે ભવિષ્યના અંદર એવું થાય કે ભઈ આ વસ્તુ નથી જોઈ, તો then you can very well say that yes, this was not falling within my materiality, and therefore not much consideration was given in that. But then that is required to be properly put up in a work paper. SA 330, auditors' responses to assess risk. Again, 315 and 330, you can have one single work paper and you can close it. SA 450, evaluation of misstatement identified during the audit. જે પણ તમને એવું લાગતું હોય કે how you would be evaluating, what you will be doing, what you have taken countermeasures for evaluation of the misstatements that are identified during the audit. All these things are required to be documented. SA 500, audit evidence. Of course, certain evidences, maybe if they do not give you sanction letter or anything, but you'll have to see that what audit evidences you can collect and keep it in your file. That will depend on the type of branch and the type of risk which is involved. And of course, the materiality level. SA 505, that is external confirmation. In our case, majorly I would say that have certain external confirmations from the borrowers. Before, after you get an appointment letter and everything, just ask from the branch manager the list of borrowers. Immediately send them that please confirm. Of course, as on 31st of March 2022, you can ask for and take those external confirmation. I think you would receive in 3 or 4 days. Then please ensure that the balance is as per borrower in their books and balance as per the bank matches. If it doesn't matches, ask for a reconciliation and verify those reconciliation. So external confirmation is very important. You will have to send it. If there are certain transactions with other banks, you can send external confirmations to those banks also. If there are certain, if ATM is there, and if you want to know that balance, if it is getting attached, if it is given to certain vendors, to maintain those ATM, it happens certain banks are doing that, so you can send external confirmations to them also. SA 520, analytical procedures. Again, you have to perform at 2 levels. One is at preliminary and another is at final. Preliminary would be જ્યારે તમને 31st March તમને જે balance sheet, profit and loss account મળશે, then you'll have to ensure, take the previous year audited and current year unaudited. So that would be your preliminary. You'll have to ensure that yes, interest ઓછું થયું છે, deposit ઉપરનું interest વધારે ગયું છે, advances ઓછા થયા છે. You'll have to, at preliminary analytical procedure, you'll have to apply your own mind કે આ કેમ થયું હશે. That is also required to be documented. For example, if you see that electricity expense in the previous year was 1 lakh and audited, and this year as on unaudited as on 31st of March 2022 is 1,50,000. So it has substantially increased. So at that point of time, you'll have to write in your work paper that yes, it could be because of the electricity charges would have been raised by UGVCL or Torrent or whatever way, or the branch might have taken another property on rent and now they would be paying that, or certain new air conditions would have come, or new electrifications would have been done. So that would be your preliminary analysis ke ha આવું થઈ શકે છે, right? So that of course you are required to document it. Then the final would come after recording all MOCs and everything. Then again you will have to go through these analytical procedures that would be previous year audited and current year audited. So MOC effect you will have to put it, you'll have to add or edit those unaudited numbers. Again you will have to compare it with previous year audited and this current year audited. Age electricity no example આપું કે okay 1 lakh નું 1,50,000 થઈ ગયું છે. Then you will, after execution of audit, you will exactly come to know that yes, no, the premises, they have taken one more premises, adjacent premises, and therefore the electricity expenses have gone high. So that again you will have to document that initially this was my analysis, and after execution of the work આ ખબર પડી કે આના કારણે વધારે થયું છે. The auditor has verified various invoices been issued by UGVCL or Torrent, and you'll have to conclude it. Yes, it is in line, or you may have to conclude that yeah, it is not in line. If you say that it is not in line, then again you'll have to say the procedures which you have performed કે તમને કેમ નથી લાગતું, right? And if it is having any effect on the misstatement or on the financial statement, that is also required to be recorded. SA 530 audit sampling, this is also very important. Sampling કરજો whatever way you want to do, but and document it કે તમે કયા બેઝ ઉપર sampling કર્યું છે. એમ નહીં કે ચાર ફાઇલ આપી દે. You will have to apply your mind and you will have to ensure કે yes, sampling ના અંદર બધા જ આવી જાય. એવું ના થાય કે તમે એક જ particular, suppose it's a mixed branch, then they are having agri advance also, they are having mudra advance also, they are having engineering advance also, they are having priority sector advance also. So sample it in a way that બધું જ cover થઈ જાય, and the percentage of audit which is required to be made, which gives you satisfaction, okay, that all are being covered in your audit sampling. SA 580 is written representation, what we call as management representation letter. Various representations you will have to take. Normally HO will never give you, so try and ensure that you take management representation from the branch manager. For you, he will be the critical person. So any representations you want, you will have to ensure that the branch, અને આ બધું પહેલા એને આપી દેજો, પછી તમે સાઇન કરજો, નહીં તો છે ને તમને ક્યારે લાઈફમાં આપશે નહીં. Okay, so please ensure that you have all these things in hand, then only you go ahead with your attestation. SA 610, using the work of internal auditors, in this case would be, they would be concurrent auditors, or if there are any RBI inspections that have been made, use those reports. Please assess that kई जगह you feel that yes, you will have to the extent of checking again કે તમારે કઈ જગ્યાએ વધારે જોવાની જરૂર છે. So read all those reports, concurrent audit reports, make a note of it કેટલું બની શકે કે yes આ particular, because you won't be able to verify each and everything. So all these reports would be very important for you. So they should also be demanded well before 31st if you are if you receive appointment letter. So it can be handy and you can see all these things in your office before going to the branch. What is audit documentation? As it 230. So the record of audit procedures performed, relevant audit evidences obtained, and conclusions the auditor reached. Terms such as working papers or work papers are also sometimes used. That's what I've said, that you'll have to see, you will have to have the document about the evidences which you obtained. You will have to conclude on the work papers. Work paper એવું નથી કે તમે ફાઇલના અંદર કાગળ મૂકી દીધું. એ કાગળનું તમે લોકોએ શું કર્યું છે, what you have done, that has to be written. Okay, so this will really help you in future. કારણ કે 1.5 વર્ષ પછી 2 વર્ષ પછી ક્યાંકથી આવશે ત્યારે તમને દરેક વસ્તુ યાદ હશે, and you will be able to appropriately produce that yes, એ વખતે મારું મગજ આવું ચાલતું હતું અને મેં આવી રીતના કર્યું છે. So no one will be able to touch you. But if you won't have all these work papers which are not concluded, then again a lot of things would come up for you. Audit documentation, I would say it is divided in two parts: general audit documentation for bank branch audit and specific audit documents for audit of advances. એટલે advances majorly I would say તમારું audit 80% તમે advances પૂરા કરશો, 80% તમારું કામ પતી જવાનું છે. But there are certain other aspects also for which you will have to keep the documentations. What all are included in general audit documentation for bank branch audit file? Appointment formalities, including appointment letter, NOC from previous auditor or communication from previous auditor, engagement letter, etc. Latest RBI directions આ બધા મેં પહેલા તમને કીધા છે. So keep all these things in your file. So understanding of powers and responsibilities at various levels in the branch. Take their metrics that yes, chief manager છે એનું કેટલું sanction ની authority છે, GM ની કેટલી sanction ની authority છે, under which network it is coming, under which zone it is coming. So all these things you'll have to collect. If they don't have, then you'll have to collect. You will have to prepare it yourself and put it in your file. Summary of accounting policies, observations from previous audits, inspection reports, concurrent audit, satisfactory compliances, આ બધું પણ તમારે અંદર તમારા ફાઇલના અંદર રાખવું પડશે. એટલે concurrent audit બધા રાખવાની જરૂર નથી, but yes, in month of August, if you have noticed certain things, then write yes, in this particular borrower, concurrent auditor આ વસ્તુનો issue કાઢ્યો હતો, right? And later on it was been complied with. If it is not complied with, then again you will have to conclude in your work paper કે yes, this has been complied with. Or it is still not complied with and we have recorded an MOC for it, or we have not recorded an MOC because it is not affecting my financial statement. Whatever bit, any circumstances, anything. Understanding of internal controls, IT system controls. Again, you will have IFC. There would be certain branches where you will have to perform IFCOFAR. So there would be processes at our level. Believe me, friends, we have more than 550 processes which we have to do for the entire bank, and 115 processes are such which are directly affecting the financial statement. It has everything: SWIFT, ATM transaction, vendor transaction, CBS reports, returns, how it is being generated. But at branch level, I would say that there would be certain processes which you will have to report and we'll have to work upon. So I don't think list would be a big one, but read each and every clause properly. Read and understand the process, document those processes. There would be RCM, which is called as risk control metrics. Go through that. Please ensure that yes, all risks are being mitigated within the system. And then there would be certain documents which you will have to collect to ensure that yes, these proper processes are properly in place and therefore internal financial controls are good in the bank. All these are again required to be documented. Apan tame pehla kari shako jo before going to the branch on 3rd or 4th or 5th. You can very well do on 31st, 1st or 2nd, whatever you feel like. It is not necessary that you have to do this for an year end. It can be done at any point of time. Audit working papers and issue trackers. How issues raised during audit were concluded. This should be part of your documentation. Financial statement of the previous year and current year. Keep it in file. Management certified trial balance for the year, various audit reports such as internal inspection report, concurrent previous year statutory audit report. All these things will have to keep in, have to be documented. Specific representations, notes on working papers received by the bank's management on sensitive or significant audit issues or accounts. Say, for example, I would say that the inspection is going on. Whenever you are there, if some RBI inspection is going on, you can talk to them that yes, whether any sensitive issue is going on or not, or if already those inspections have been over, and if there are certain matters in which the bank has represented, or on your issue also, if bank has represented, tame koi vastu kidi ki bhai okay આના અંદર મને એવું લાગે છે this account is required to be an NPA, but then they have substantial proof and everything whereby they are trying to satisfy you on certain matters. And if you're getting satisfied or not getting satisfied, in both the circumstances, please take adequate representation from the bank. Take everything in writing from them. In લોકોનો કોઈ પણ reply છે, just don't accept it verbally. Verbally તમને યાદ નહીં રહે, and verbally it doesn't have any value. Whatever they want to say, please take it on paper. And it has to be duly attested by the branch manager or by the zonal or whoever it is. List of documents verified and minutes of meeting with the bank's management. Okay, in this previous point, suppose if they don't give it in writing, then at least in your work paper, you put down everything. We have talked to this, we have talked to this, they are not agreeing on this, they are not giving it us in writing. So, આ બધી વસ્તુના તમે proof રાખજો. એ જે કોઈ પણ વસ્તુ થઈ હોય, then you just immediately report to a higher level કે ભાઈ મને આનું writing ના અંદર representation નથી મળી રહ્યું. right? Or it is not adequate. So keep all these things in writing. You can have an email copy also in whatever form, but have everything in writing. List of documents verified and minutes of meeting with the bank's management. All these things are required to be documented. Copies of supporting documents that are verified and confirmations obtained during the audit. I told you external confirmations, certain internal confirmations, all these things are required to be documented. Verification of other assets and liabilities, proof of various securities, cash and other assets physically verified during the year. After cash normally verify, stationery, all these things we verify. Cash kari lejo. Certain petty things just don't, I would say, don't waste your time. Concentrate more on the internal controls with the bank is having, concentrate more on the advances, concentrate more on LFAR, concentrate more on the returns, which you'll be certifying. So these are all very important. Baki amuk nani vastu ne you can have it get it done through articles or the lower stuff. KYC verification, anti-money laundering verification, FEMA compliances at branches. If those are, FEMA branch, then how they are complying, or if there are certain borrowers for them, how they are complying those FEMA compliances, all these things would make part of your audit documentation. Verification of third-party products, off-balance sheet items, claims acknowledged against bank and contingent liabilities. Please ensure you'll have to apply your mind for those contingent liabilities also. A particular amount or they might feel contingent liability nothing, but then you will have to ensure that these are getting recorded. Of course, contingent liability mate पण MOC hoy છે, right? So all these things are also required to be passed through MOC, and you should document it properly. Other bank, RBI balance confirmations, management representation letter, various other audit documents, evidences considered in the audit process. All these things are required to be documented. Specific audit documentation for audit of advances. Now, आज है बता specific documents. Latest sanction letter, resolution proposal, statement of account till date. આખું એકાઉન્ટ લેવાની જરૂર નથી, લાઈક 31st માર્ચ નું બોરોનું એકાઉન્ટ તમે લઈ શકશો, કઈ વાંધો નથી એના અંદર. એન્ડ હેવ સર્ટન થોડાક transactions lay lejo where you can in future you can ensure that yes, the account is good, or if the account is bad, then accordingly take those papers along within your file. So in future if something comes in, you can produce to any authority. Charges recovered register, એનું પણ તમે લાસ્ટ પેજની કોપી લઈ શકો છો. ઇન્સ્પેક્શન રિપોર્ટ ઓફ પ્રાઇમરી એન્ડ કોલેટરલ સિક્યોરિટી, so you can take this as a part of your representation letter also. You can take certificate from the branch. If you don't want to take copy, it's fine. Latest stock and receivable audit report, last stock and receivable audit report છે, એની તમારે કોપી લઈ લેવાની. જે બોરોવર કોઈ મોટું લાગતું હોય, રિસ્કી છે, something like that, then you can very well have those. Declaration of accounts opened with other banks. This is very important because multi-banking, there are certain restrictions on that. So all these declarations are very important. Borrower has to give all those declarations. So please ensure that you have that in your audit documentation. Make it as a part of audit documentation, whether bank has allowed that or what steps bank have taken for such type of accounts. Income proof like salary slip, financial statement of all borrowers and guarantors, income tax returns, bank statement, certain things which you feel like is important, you can take it. Latest financial follow-up report, half yearly and quarterly. Independent credit rating by CRA if applicable. CERSAI registration and movable and immovable security. See, these are the documents normally which you should have. You will have to decide all the documents which you have to take. Okay, those which are critical, of course, you should always keep as a part of your document. Latest ratio analysis of borrower CMA operating statements, last 2 quarters stock statements, CS certified book date statements and drawing power computation sheet, valuation report of primary and collateral security, valuation report in case of gold loan, CIBIL of borrowers and guarantors, ROC search report of borrower, latest concurrent audit report, latest credit audit report. So I would say that certain accounts we don't take all of them. We are selective. If you feel like મારે આની વસ્તુની જરૂર લાગે છે મારા audit documentation માટે, it would be sufficient, then just collect those. Otherwise there is no need to specifically have these documents. But yes, somewhere or the other it is required to be written by you. You cannot just કે તમારું ઓડિટ પતી ગયું છે and you're not having anything. Either you prepare or ask the branch manager to prepare, or at least take those copies, conclude it on work paper. Mortgage date, conduct of account during the quarter, latest KYC documents. In case of vehicle loans, copy of original invoices, copy of RC and insurance policy of vehicle with bank's clause should be obtained. In case of education loans, document for studies in affiliated university, colleges, prospectus and fees details should be obtained. Karan, I think it's 10:30, but if you allow me, can I further take for 10 minutes?
Absolutely.
So, data and details which are required to be obtained before commencing the audit. So, authority levels, portfolio of advance account, advance restructured during the year together with the schemes, portfolio of non-fund based advance, portfolio of deposit, details of other business of the branch. So these are the data. This will really help you in performing an audit. So this can also help you in planning. Data details to be obtained before commencing an audit. As I told you, balance sheet, profit and loss account generated from CBS, list of NPAs as on reporting date, list of critical SMA account. This is very important. SMA account to સૌથી પહેલા માંગી લેજો, because SMA they will give SMA no account આવે, that means there's a red flag somewhere or the other. These accounts are required to be given much more attention at the time of audit. So SMA, these are system generated only. SMA, this SMA report is required to be sent to RBI on a regular basis by the branch and by the bank. So this is very critical. SMA થી તમને ખબર પડી જ જશે કે ભાઈ આ account થોડુંક irregular ચાલુ રહ્યું છે, out of order છે, whatever be it, but this, and it gets generated from the system. એટલે branch જોડે કોઈ authority નથી હોતી કે એને કોઈ વસ્તુ change કરી શકે. It is all done at, majorly it is done at HO level only. So number of accounts upgraded or downgraded during the audit period. Take the list કે કેટલા upgrade account થયા છે, downgrade થયા છે. There is very important circular which has come for upgrading the account. I think Hitesh, we would definitely touch upon on it. List of accounts continuously appearing in the exception reports. If you feel that yes, exception report થી તમને ખબર પડશે કે આ accounts continuously they are appearing in the exception report કે આ લોકો out of order રહે છે regular period માટે, last day ઉપર આવીને એને પૈસા ભરી દે છે. These all reports would be very handy for you. Details of software systems which are not integrated with the CBS. CBS na barna, there are certain applications, which banks are using. So those details and understanding of those software is also required to be ensured. Exceptional report. Again, there are various exceptional report that you will know. I mean, when you'll read or when you'll understand the actual IT controls or the environment while inquiring with the branch manager. Reports to be obtained, which all reports to be obtained at the time of execution is concurrent audit report, extract of RBI annual risk assessment report, RBI inspection report, previous audit report and closing returns, system audit, EDP audit, computer audit report, LFAR of previous year. All these things are you have to obtain before and at the time of execution of your audit. Furthermore, like forensic audit report, if any, has been carried out, cash and currency chest verification report, compliance with MOC of previous, we already discussed, certificate of previous auditor, key correspondence that have been made. Now, this is very important. Sometimes the branch manager doesn't allow you to scan through those emails, So you'll have to just ask the bank manager that how you are corresponding. પહેલા તો શું હતું કે ફાઇલના અંદર બધા કાગળિયા રહેતા હતા, હવે બધું ઈમેલ ઉપર આવે છે. So he may give or he may not give the access, but yes, you can very well take access of the credit manager and branch manager નું પણ તમે access લઈ શકો છો કે તમે બેસો, હું ખાલી જોઈ લઉં છું તમારા કયા mails છે pertaining to any borrower or anything, you can very well ask for. And if you feel that there is something fishy or something contrary or something different, then of course you will have to extend your audit checks and various other formalities. These are the data, relating to advances which you have to obtain for data analysis. This you can very well prepare in Excel. And a customer ID, name of borrower, આ બધી વસ્તુ you can very well demand with the branch well in advance. This will really help you to, execute the audit properly. So it should normally contain customer ID, name of the borrower, type of facility given to the borrower, date of sanction, account number, asset classification, amount outstanding, interest accrued and debited, amount of provision, value of security, overdue amount. So whenever you are writing a letter, please ensure that you write, okay, give me data regarding your various borrowers, okay, and please provide us all these things in an Excel. It would be really handy for you. અને તમે સારી રીતના એની અંદર કામ કરી એટલે આનું એક format you can make it. You can make a format of yourself, whatever you feel like. But these are the things normally, which we are demanding before going to the branch. Pre-sign off checklist. So everything what we discussed was about at the time of execution and audit planning and everything. Now પત્યા પછી આપણે શું વસ્તુઓ કરવાની છે? Is using generated, review 100% advances from viewpoint of classification and provisioning, obtain list of red flag accounts and ensure that same has not been removed within 6 months, same has been reported as suspected fraud or fraud, review of accounts flagged as RFA by other banks, whether the branch has used central fraud registry while preparing credit appraisal in the respect of granting new facility. Ensure that all classification of advances as per master direction on priority sector lending is being done. Ensure that all borrowers above 100 crores register as LEI, that is legal entity identified. Recently, the circular has come from RBI. In terms of RBI guidelines, this is also very important. Balance confirmation of top borrowers and depositors. Review of accounts classified in SMA2 category. You will have to review all the accounts thoroughly which are in SMA2 category. So there would be 3 categories basically: SMA0, SMA1 and SMA2. SMA2 would normally be the accounts which are overdue for a period of 60 to 90 days. SMA1 ma 30 to 60 days આવશે ને પેલું 60 to 90 days આવશે. 60 to 90 days means it's a very critical account for you. So આ બધા તો તમારે 100% તમારે audit આ તો કરવા જ પડશે SMA2 વાળા accounts. KYC norms, identification of instances where maintenance of separate account for development, invocation of LCBG and report the same in LFAR. Ensure compliance with respect to priority sector advances and advances to MSME. There are various circulars for priority sector advances. If you are having a branch which is under priority sector, or if they have made advances to the priority sector or to the MSME, there are certain set circulars which you will have to go through, and you will have to ensure that branches made adequate compliances. Analytical procedures with respect to other assets and liabilities. This is also important. Normally આપણે analytical જે કરતા હોય છે profit and loss account નું જ કરતા હોય છે, but other assets and liabilities in case of bank branch audit I think we should perform. Confirm sundry and suspense account balance for period of more than 6 months have been fully provided for in terms of RBI guidelines. Suspense account, if you see and if it is there for more than 6 months, then it has to be recorded as per RBI guidelines. એટલે suspense account જો તો એની just check that since how long this has remained in suspense account. Last month na અંદર ઘણા બધા suspense account માં હશે, because that's the way they do it. If you could identify those accounts, I mean you can record it through MOC. But if you feel that there are suspense account which are outstanding or which are being shown in the books for more than 6 months, then you'll have to follow the RBI guidelines and you'll have to ensure that yes, branches complied with those guidelines. I think I can skip all these things. Yes. Review selected stressed and sick report from SMA1 to account and ensure classification for further review and possible MOC NPA classification. This is also very important. Take these reports. This will really help you at the time of execution of the report. Review of interest and penalty parameters. Ensure principal interest amount charged in account are as per sanction terms. This is also important at the time of execution. Sanction letter, RBI master direction circular, recent circulars, and fourth one is our guidance note. These are 4 very important aspects. Sanction માં તો જે લખ્યું છે એ પ્રમાણે થયું છે કે નહીં તો આપણી પૂરેપૂરી 100% જવાબદારી આવી જ છે. Sanction letter જ્યારે તમે વાંચો, then you would feel that yes, there are a lot of benefits which are given to a borrower. Let them give. I mean, that is not our prerogative whether they have given benefit to them or not. What you have to ensure is કે sanction terms ના અંદર જે બધું લખ્યું છે એ બધું comply થઈ રહ્યું છે કે નહીં. Of course, there cannot be terms which are contrary to RBI circulars or RBI guidelines. Of course, if you come across such, you can very well report it. Review one-time settlement cases. Our cases are, then again, it's a specific task in itself, right? So these are circulars. I think Hitesh bhai would cover up nicely, more better than me. I can skip this. With this, if there are certain questions, you can very well ask me.
If anyone has any questions, either they can unmute themselves and ask it directly, or they can also write in the chat box. We'll wait for 2-3 minutes to.
SMA, Sir Nikunj Shah.
Yes, sir.
SMA reports બેંકમાંથી જ મળી જશે આપણને જનરલી કે પછી એનો કોઈ સ્પેસિફિકેશન રીતે જનરેટ કરાવવા પડે?
ના બેંકમાંથી જ મળી જશે, પણ જ્યારે પણ તમે આ SMA રિપોર્ટ જ્યારે કાઢતા હોય ને ત્યારે તમે એના સામે બેસીને કઢાવજો. ઓકે, ડોન્ટ એક્સેપ્ટ ઇટ ઇન એક્સેલ ઓર એની અધર ફોર્મેટ. જસ્ટ એન્શ્યોર કે તમારા સામે જે કાઢે SMA રિપોર્ટ એના પાછળ બેસી રહેજો અને દેખજો કે એ સિસ્ટમના અંદરથી જ કાઢી રહ્યો છે.
ઓકે, ઇઝ ધેર એની ચાન્સીસ કે SMA 2 જે સિસ્ટમમાંથી કાઢે, જનરલી સિસ્ટમમાંથી નીકળે તો વાંધો ના આવે, પણ એ પોતે કરે તો કંઈક પ્લસ માઇનસ કરી શકે કે
101%. 101%. એટલે તો કહું છું સામે
એક મિનિટ, સોરી ટુ ઇન્ટરપ્ટ યુ. એ મારા એક્સપિરિયન્સ પ્રમાણે એ ક્યારેય બી એમાં મેન્યુઅલ ઇન્ટરવેન્શન ના થઈ શકે. they will be liable for that, અને I don't think that they will permit you to sit with them and in front of you only they should generate the report. That is not there, but once it is signed by the branch incumbent, then in that case according to me it should be fine. And it is always
we have an experience કે Excel ના અંદર normally we do not accept and
Excel માં I don't think Excel માં આપશે બી ખરા.
એટલે in case આપે તો that should, I think કે એના અંદર we have to be very cautious, and if possible what we do is normally in 100% of the cases we have ensured કે અમારા સામે એ લોકોએ કાઢીને આપ્યું છે. If they don't give, then yes, what Hitesh bhai says is correct. Then you can very well take sign because that will be part of your document and whatever they have given you have taken it. But આમાં ધ્યાન રાખવું બહુ જરૂરી છે because this is very important report, you know, which is getting generated.
Okay, thank you.
Anandji, there are 2 questions in the chat box. Can you?
Time ocho નથી આપતા, time adequate જ આપે છે. It is about us, you know, how we have to perform. See, normally they would તમને appointment letter મળે છે ને ત્યારે તમારું પ્લાનિંગ બહુ જ પરફેક્ટ હોવું જોઈએ. You have to ask certain documents from them. તમારા ઘણા બધા એનાલિસિસ ઓફિસમાં બેસીને પતી શકે છે. Yes, I know 5-6 days or 7 days is not that enough, but then I feel that is adequate also. If you plan properly, તમે દરેક વસ્તુ ત્યાં જઈને જોઈ પણ શકો છો. તમારી ટીમ સ્ટ્રોંગ હોવી જોઈએ. You cannot go with 1 or 2 people. I mean, the people should be experienced. Normally what happens is that certain inexperienced people are going for the branch audit. Training ઘણી વખત આપણે proper નથી આપતા, ઘણી વખત આપણને ઘણી understanding નથી હોતી. But if you plan properly, I don't think 7-8 days for one branch, I think it would be enough. Ensure the materiality. તમારે શું જોવાનું છે તમને ખબર હોવી જોઈએ. આપણે એ દિવસે જઈને અને પછી શોધવા બેસી કે મારે આ જોવાનું છે તો ડેફિનેટલી આપણો ટાઈમ ઓછો જ પડવાનો છે હંમેશા.
ગૌરાંગભાઈ નો બી એક ક્વેશ્ચન છે આનંદભાઈ.
હા સર.
Is written in the chat box whether I'll take the question. Anandbhai, I'll take the question, no problem. From him he is asked, do you think that small branches can provide all details?
Yes, આપણને સ્મોલ બ્રાન્ચ છે તો આપણે એ પ્રમાણે ડિટેલ લેવાની, પણ જેટલી આપણી જરૂર માટે છે બધી તો આપણે લેવી જ પડશે ને એમના જોડે. અને જે ડિટેલ લેવી હોય તમે સાઇન કરો એ પહેલા લઈ લેજો.
There is one more question from Jayesh Panchal. Is there any recent important circular we have to keep in mind?
Yes, of course, Hitesh bhai would take. There are 3 circulars, Hitesh bhai, if I'm not wrong, 3 or 4 circulars recently which have been issued. But yes, Master Direction Circular 1st July 2015, that is very important. And one more is revised later on. અને એ પછી બીજા 3 એના માટેના પણ બીજા clarifications આવ્યા છે, which I think Hitesh bhai would take up.
There's one question that I've got on WhatsApp. It says that how many UDIs do we need to generate when we are doing the bank audit?
I think UDIN, I think only one is enough. There is no need to generate more UDINs. એક UDIN થી તમારે કામ ચાલી જાય છે, right? But LFAR, suppose for example, if you're not doing at the time of branch audit and later on if you're going, so I would suggest કે પછી એ વખતે તમે separate UDIN generate કર લો, right? Otherwise one UDIN is enough to mention in all.
So one for certification, one for LFAR if you're doing on a different day.
Yes.
And if you're doing 3CB, 3CD audit also, then
yes.
the third UDN.
Yes.
Then 3 UDNs, otherwise 2 UDNs. I think Karan.
UDIN માં તમને ત્યાં ઓપ્શન દેખાઈ જશે 3.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Anand Sharma, for a very informative lecture and a very useful lecture, as the bank audits will come next month. Thanks a lot. And now, with great pleasure, I would invite Mr. Hitesh Pomal as our next faculty. Hitesh bhai also does not require any introduction. He is a sitting regional council member, in fact, multiple times regional council member. He is also chairman of Vikasa, so we all know him. But professionally, he has more than 2 decades of experience in bank audits, and he is the partner of Manubhai and Shah LLP. And he has done audits of multiple large banks like State Bank or Canara Bank. And with great pleasure, Hitesh bhai, please welcome, and it's your stage now.
Thank you so much, Karan bhai. Respected, I'm audible, no? Respected President of CA Association, CA Monish bhai, PD Committee Chairman Karan bhai, and entire PD Committee and all the participants, Anand Sharma. Thank you very much for the wonderful explanation on this audit planning and documentation. The only point on a lighter sense, I would like to say here to the participants, basically, that wherever me and Anand bhai both are taking the lecture, generally he always used to take first lecture. Opening batsman માં strike એમની પાસે હોય છે, એટલે મારે ઘણું બધું પછી રાહત થઈ જાય છે. પણ સૌથી મોટામાં મોટી તકલીફ એ થાય છે, આનંદભાઈને હું જ્યારે સાંભળું ત્યારે મને એમ થાય કે આ પ્રકારે ઓડિટ કરીશું તો બેંક છે એ આપણને કઈ પ્રકારે રિસ્પોન્સ આપશે, જે પ્રમાણે આનંદભાઈ એગ્રેસિવલી ઓલવેઝ હોય જ છે. મેં તો ઓન સાઇટ બી જોયેલા જ છે. But he has the thorough understanding of the entire banking financials, basically. But and with this, the topic allotted to me today is the audit of advances and the NPA part. Since in the audit planning and documentation lecture, Anand bhai has already and exhaustively covered the documentation, more particularly with reference to the advances. So I would briefly touch upon then. We will definitely focus on the NPA during this 1 and 1.5 hour. Time allotted to me is 1.5 hour. No, how much time is there? Okay,
sir, as much as you please.
Okay, fine. Ek second. I'll share my presentation first.
Yeah, Hitesh bhai, હવે આજે જમવાનું નથી એટલે તમે કરી શકો છો, વાંધો નથી.
અચ્છા, એવું છે ને? ઓકે, એક મિનિટ. સ્ક્રીન દેખાય છે હવે?
હા, દેખાય છે સાહેબ.
અચ્છા, ઓકે. So the most important and core areas for this always is the advances and NPAs. I will not explain you in detail what to check in the advances, because I know in CA Association the senior members are there and they have the vast experience of bank branch audit, and they are very well conversant with the terminology used for the advances and the even for the bank branch per se, right? So I need not explain the entire advances and what to check in the advances. I would just like to touch upon more. Our more focus will be on the recent clarification and recent master circular which RBI has come up on 1st of October 2021, right? And the relevant explanation, the changes in the definition, more particularly with reference to SMA, out of order and irregularities. I think we should discuss that. The presentation definitely I'll be sharing with the CA Association. The only point is that whatever over and above the presentation, I would like to discuss that also for the, and I'm sure that is of utmost importance for this year 21-22 audit. So this the presentation is covering the types of advances, the checklist which are important for the review of advances, how to select the sample. That is also always a challenge, because a participant asked that question, know that how to complete the audit in timely manner. And as rightly said by Anand Bhai, if more than 50% of time is already given to the planning, and if at the time of visiting the battlefield, that is the branch, if you have the handy information and handy checklist available with you and your team, so it will be much easier for you to complete the task in time also. So we'll briefly touch upon the selection of samples also, review of most important reports, documentation. Anand Bhai has exhaustively covered. We'll just touch upon it, and then other key points. We all know only two types of advances: funded and non-funded. Funded term loan, cash credit, overdraft, FITL, and demand loans. In case of non-funded loans, this is LC and bank guarantee and bill discounting. Right, so we all are aware of this terminology, that what is term loan and what is cash credit and what is overdraft, right? But in the present scenario, more particularly within this after 2018-19, see, all the banks have come up with the innovative products related to advances. For us, the most important is to understand what is fund-based and what is non-fund-based. And even in fund based, we should have the knowledge of what is overdraft and what is term loan, what is cash credit and what is term loan. Sometimes that is, I would like to point out that the banks have now come up with the loan against property overdraft also. So the auditor should have the knowledge that whether the NPA norms related to term loan is applicable for that particular case, or the overdraft is applicable for the that particular case, where the loan against property in the nature of overdraft, wherein the drawing power will be reduced gradually, but a person can any number of time deposit and any number of time withdraw in that particular account if the sufficient DP is available. Definitely we'll discuss if time permits. See, to review the advances, the checklist which is important in my opinion is that hello.
Yeah, you are audible. Go on.
But screen is visible. I think some disruption was there.
Yeah.
Screen visible?
No, not exactly. You'll have to share it again.
Ek second. Now it's okay?
Yes, okay. Go on.
Right. So our checklist should include the selection of simples to complete the audit in timely manner and to cover the maximum required number and samples for the audit of advances verification. Sometimes with the specialized, what happens that because now there is no geographical areas, geographical barriers for the bank branch. Earlier it was like Navarangpura branch and Ashram Road branch, wherein all the banking activities was done by the respective branches. But now there are the specialized branches. There are specialized branches for the large borrowers account. There are specialized branches for the home loan and so on. So we should have the select that art actually before entering the branch at the time of discussion with the bank branch incumbent, that which are the nature of advances, number of advances, and the total outstanding. And on that basis, I would like to explain the selection of samples in little greater detail. That is first and foremost is the new sanctions during the year. And second, if any adversely commented account is there by the Reserve Bank of India or concurrent auditor or bank's internal inspection, more particularly concurrent auditors and bank's internal inspection, because the RBI is now not visiting the branches per se regularly. In earlier days, they used to visit some of the branches too. But if in the new sanction files, we have to verify, that is for sure. Adversely commented accounts by RBI, if from the head office any adversely commented account is there for that particular branch, we definitely should be the part of the sample. Concurrent auditors, any adverse remark by the concurrent auditors and bank's internal inspection department. In my experience, the bank's internal credit rating report by their inspectors, basically by their audit department, is of utmost importance. And if the branch allotted to you has been under the credit audit by the inspectors of the officials of the bank during the year 21-22, that, believe me friends, the task to complete the entire assignment within a very little time will be extremely possible. I think first question always I ask before asking the name of the branch manager, I used to ask that whether the credit audit was undertaken by the bank's internal department. If yes, then I would like to see that report only, and that covers entire audit process which is required. Second, Lfa reporting. As we all know that last year the Reserve Bank of India has revised the Lfa audit reporting requirement also, wherein the 10% of the total advances of the branch, that is fund based and non-fund based, or rupees 10 crore, whichever is less, the auditor is supposed to report that also for that particular account also, if it is exceeding 10% of the total advances of the branch. Other top or large exposure accounts, SMA 1 or SMA 2. SMA 1 or SMA 2, Anand Bhai has explained what is SMA. We will also discuss projects wherein the implementation is delayed. Restructuring during this particular year, the number of accounts because of the post-COVID, means because of the COVID pandemic, the RBI also has come up with many relaxation and forbearances, which also we will discuss what is required for this particular year. List of unsecured exposure above rupees 1 crore, that is very much required. Because the in case of specialized branches, if it is allotted to you and any unsecured exposure is there above a certain level, right, we need to check that accounts also. Quick mortality cases, right, these are the questions which you have to ask, or I would request you to ask to the branch incumbent at the time of our preliminary meeting only. That, sir, any quick mortality cases are there during the year? The answer is no. Then can you please give me the report related to quick mortality cases? That should form part of your documentation also. Quick mortality cases are the cases wherein the account slips to NPA within the 12 months of the first disbursement. That is quick mortality cases. And yes, accounts upgraded during the year. you will have the age-wise analysis of the NPA and movement of NPA reports very well generated in the from the system itself. You can very well check those accounts also. And for accounts upgradation, one clarification is there during the year by the Reserve Bank of India that I will discuss in this presentation. Another is compliance of RBI norms and banks policy. Banks loan policy is very important. Soft copy is available only at the branches. My experience, no hard copy. It is, but it is very much there in the system of the branch itself. Sanction letter, review of sanction letter, as Anand Bhai has rightly said. First of all, you need to check the specific conditions. General conditions, that is fine, that whether it is complied or not, but the specific conditions, more particularly with reference to coverage of security, that is and security is offered, and then moratorium. And moratorium, in case of moratorium, if the moratorium is for the interest also, that also needs to be seen. If time permits, I will explain the practical example related to that too. Then terms of interest rates. Now the interest is linked with the MCLR. So whether the MCLR plus spread rate, right? Then that is properly punched in the system. And for that also, you need not have to go to the system and check it yourself. Just for sampling test is, you can very well, at the time of verification of interest charged in the particular account, you can check the entire system. But that report is also generated in the system. You can very well ask for that report too. Authorization level means the level of authorization. Now, in general parlance, the branch manager has no power to sanction any loan beyond a certain limit. That is a retail loan, any car loan or vehicle loan only. Rest, all the banks, religiously, all the banks have the system to sanction the limit at the what we can say committee level. There are the committees are there for with the authorization level to sanction the limit. Authorization limit needs to be checked. Parameters we have discussed. Review of advances, value of securities. Generally, the value of securities are collateral securities. More particularly, it should be revalued at every 3 years. In case of NPA, it is must, right? That also we will discuss. Drawing power, terms of consortium advance. If in your branch any advances are under the consortium finance or multiple banking arrangement, in that case also the terms of that consortium finance needs to be seen, and the consortium meeting, minutes of the consortium meeting at every regular quarter. I think it is on a quarterly basis or any other time limits prescribed. Stock audit or physical verification of stock. That is again a question mark, because many of us are getting the stock audits and we know what is the position, more particularly after this post-pandemic. But in case of red flagged accounts or early warning signals, if the stock auditor has reported anything adversely in his audit report, stock audit report, that should also be taken into consideration little bit more seriously, I would advise. Credit summation against the interest debited, because the out of order definition is now changed, which we will be discussing in this session itself. Why credit summation is important, that I will explain you. Valuation of security that we have discussed, and audit ad hoc provision in case of fraud. If any fraud is reported, right, then in that case, whether any ad hoc provision is there, because once the fraud is declared, in that case 100% provision is required to be made by the branch. But if in case of fraud is not detected, right, but then in that case, whether any ad hoc provision is also being held at the branch level, but generally it is at the head office level. Review of important reports. Most important, according to me, is credit audit conducted by the bank officials at the branch, right? Whatever is the credit, wherever, because generally the branch is covered under this credit rating or credit report by the inspection department of the bank. Generally, it covers the branch in a 3 years time, right? So that is very important. Other important reports are the previous year audit report. Any adverse remark is there, or effect of the MOC, Anand Bhai has discussed. Last internal inspection report, latest inspection report of the RBI. if the branch or any of the account of the branch is selected by the Reserve Bank of India for RAFIA, then in that case any adverse remark is there by the Reserve Bank of India, and whether the same is being taken care at the branch level also, that needs to be seen. Concurrent, if the branch is under the concurrent audit, then we need to see the latest concurrent audit report. I would suggest at least see last 3-4 months concurrent audit report. Any irregularity is there, in that case we need to discuss the same with the branch, and how the branch has complied with that also we need to see. Verification of security, any other report, any internal report which are specifically related to particular account, that also needs to be seen. Yes, if during the year the branch manager has changed, the branch manager's charge handing over report when the incumbent is changed, that is very important. પાછળના કોઈ મેનેજર છે એમની ટ્રાન્સફર કે પ્રમોશન થયું અને ગયા અને નવા ઇન્કમ્બન્ટ આયા છે, તો ચાર્જ એન્ડિંગ રિપોર્ટની અંદર એમણે કોઈ સ્પેસિફિક વાત છે કોઈ પર્ટિક્યુલર બોરોવરને રિલેટેડ કરેલી છે કે નહીં. All these issues we can discuss. We need not have to go into detail that you please show me the branch manager charge ending report to me. That you have to means કે મેનેજરની વાતનો આપણે એટલો વિશ્વાસ કરવો પડે. And my practical experience is, whenever we are visiting the branch in very first interaction, either telephonically, આપણે generally પહેલો ફોન એ જ કરીએ છીએ કે ભાઈ this branch is allotted to you, તો પહેલો ફોન આપણે એ કરીએ કેટલું એડવાન્સ છે, so that આપણે કેલ્ક્યુલેશન થાય કે ફીસ કેટલી આવશે. But at that point of time, when you're visiting the branch, the interaction with the branch incumbent only, you will get the idea that whether he is cooperative in nature and whether our working will be smooth or not. Documentation, Anandbhai has already covered, but these are the few important parameters for document verification related to advances. Sanction letter we already discussed. Restructuring sanction letter or consortium sanction letter. Restructuring during post-COVID, I am telling you, after 1920, because of the RBI forbearance and the relaxation to more particularly MSME and the industries which were badly affected due to COVID, right? The RBI has come up with many circulars which we are definitely discussing. The only reason I am going so fast into this is because these are the very preliminary audit procedures basically, that I just like to brush up this only, and then we will focus more on the RBI circular and the definition and the forbearance related to restructuring, more particularly to the MSMEs. OTS related documents, whether any one-time settlement is being done by the branch in a particular account, that we need to see whether it is properly as per the OTS sanction basically. Consortium minute meetings, lead bank certificate, technical viability certificate, bank stock audit report, valuation of stock and debtors as certified by the auditor. If a particular account beyond the threshold limit, if I am not mistaken, it is 5 crore and above. If the exposure in a particular borrower account is more than 5 crore account, right, every year the stock audit is to be conducted. That is as per the policy of the bank. So as we have discussed, we have to have a look, and any critical remark or adverse remark by this stock auditor, that also we need to go into greater detail. Monthly stock statement submitted by the borrower in case of WCTL. Title documents of prime and collateral securities. આમાં સૌથી વધારે પ્રોબ્લેમ થાય છે, કારણ કે આપણે બધાએ ફેસ કર્યું હશે that now the bank has the system that documents related to properties mortgage with the bank is being stored at the separate office, and the auditors will be allotted the time that on this and this time you will have to visit that particular premises and have to verify your documents, whatever you want to verify related to the advances. Mortgage register and entry of the security duly authorized. That also we need to see. Hypothecation deed, again ત્યાં જશે જ્યાં આપણે whenever we will be visiting that particular place for the verification of documentation. If it is with the branch, then it's fine. Otherwise we will have to review the same during the time allotted to us. Detail of the charge created, shifted as per MCA. vetting letter, affidavits, currency transaction, unhedged currency transaction from the client, standing instruction letter, credit rating document, and IOB, internal rating document. Credit rating document, if the exposure is above a threshold limit that is 5 crore and above, whether the external credit rating agency has done the credit review, and whether anything which has the effect on the interest applicability of the particular borrower, that we need to see. Latest audited financial, if it is available, generally ના જ પાડશે, કશું આપતા જ નથી, એમ જ કહે છે કે નથી હોતું. But in case of large borrower accounts, definitely you insist, કારણ કે એ તો ત્યાં available જ હોય. Balance confirmation from the customer, engagement letter, obtain relevant documents, detail, certificate, etc. Management representation letter, Anandbhai must have covered this. Why it is required, but the complaint which we have also received as a central auditor too at that time, that the branches are not giving the management representation letter, but it is very well there in the our guidance note also, and for us guidance note is the Gitaji. You can very well show there to the branch manager, and then you should have the management representation letter for the overall, though it is not specifically to the advances, but I thought that let me discuss that too. So the other key areas related to advances, and in my practical experience, which I have found it very, very difficult with the branch auditor, is the MOCs reported by the auditors. Now you see the system. Now all the reports are system generated, even in the banks. I'm sure in all the banks, I think it is now implemented that whatever MOC is suggested by the branch auditor, that is to be punched into the system only, and then automatically the consolidation of the same at the highest level, I mean head office level, will be taken care by the system automatically. See, which are the most important MOCs which the auditor has to keep in mind at the time of giving the MOC and at the time of preparing the MOC also. હું એવું સજેસ્ટ કરું છું always, and I would definitely suggest here also, કે કદાચ ઓડિટમાં ઇવન એડવાન્સીસના વેરિફિકેશનમાં બી તમે ટીમની ઉપર આપણે ભરોસો રાખી અને આપણે ઓડિટ કરાવી અને થોડું ઘણું એમને બી પેલું કરીએ ને તો વાંધો નથી. But at the time when you are giving any MOC, right, at that point of time, my request would be that we ourselves should have to prepare that MOC, right? If not prepared, then we have to vet it. એટલે આપણે પેલા શુદ્ધ ગુજરાતીમાં કહીએ ને તો કે 1+1 is equal to 2 થયું છે, that we need to see. કારણ કે most of the time, even Anandbhai must have observed that religiously most of the MOCs which we compiled at the sitting at the circle office level or at the head office level, right, it is wrong. In which respect? I am telling you, these are the mistakes which we have observed. Changing date of NPA. Why the date of NPA is of utmost importance, I need not explain, because everybody knows it. Addition to NPS which is identified as fraud. Fraud are of two types. One is fraud related to advances and other frauds. If any particular account wherein we have observed or we have found out that there is a fraud for whatsoever reasons, that also we will discuss, then in that case the MOC is to be given in advances MOC only. Second, for rest of the fraud, we have to provide it in the books itself. There is no need for any MOC, right? But no need for MOC related to advances, right? Change in the status of NPA from standard to substandard and substandard to doubtful and doubtful to loss. Aging પણ છે, આપણને બધાને આઈરાક નોર્મ્સ ની ખબર જ છે, એટલે કે જે પ્રમાણે ડાઉનગ્રેડ થવું જોઈએ એ પ્રમાણે એ સ્ટેટસ ની અંદર પણ ચેન્જ થયો છે કે નથી થયો. Changes in the value of security on the basis of latest valuation report. Say for example, in case of NPA accounts, I never consider the stock. If the advances is NPA since more than 2 years and there is no movement in the stock, I don't consider the same as the prime value of security, unless and until it is specifically approved by the stock auditor, right? Then apportioning of common security available to all credit facility in case of group accounts. A large borrower branch ni andar આ વસ્તુ આવે. Details in deduction column for ECGC or CGT MSE, right? Which are the insurance basically that we have to reduce it from the provisioning also. Change in the provision, reversal of unrealized interest. આપણે લખી નાખ્યું કે 31st March 2022 is the date of NPA. But generally what is observed is that as per the IRAC norms, now it is IRACP norms, right? It is the whatever is the unrealized interest, one has to reverse the same from that outstanding, and then and only then the provision is to be suggested on the net outstanding balance. Unexpired discount or processing charges in case of non-fund based this thing, reversal of interest wrongly debited to NPA account, and then rectification of wrong accounting of recovery in NPA accounts. So far as the advances verification is concerned, after verifying the advances sheet, we have to ensure that the balance included in the statement is as per the general ledger balance and software, that is matching, because we all know that generally the banks are having the separate software for the advances, but at the end of the financial year, at the end of the day rather, but for us it is on the 31st March only, we have to verify, it is your responsibility, the same is matching with the GLB. Ensure that all the collateral properties have been valued once in 3 years, more particularly in case of NPA accounts. In most NPA, primary security consisting that I have discussed, that of hypothecated stock of raw material or finished goods or book debts should be ignored unless the same is backed by a recent stock audit. Review of provisioning gaps pointed out by the branch auditors in previous year as per their MOC. Effect of the MOC or LFAR as the case may be, but effect of the MOC of previous year, Anand has discussed that that has to be incorporated during the year at the branch level. Now, the most important, and which I think everybody is more interested into it, is IRAC norms that is issued by the Reserve Bank of India. See, earlier it was IRAC norm, income recognition and asset classification norms, but RBI has come up with the master circular after the gap of 6 years. After 1st July 2015, the Reserve Bank of India has come up with the master circular related to the advances and IRAC norms, in which this terminology is changed to IRACP norms, that is income recognition, asset classification and provisioning. See, the master circular, that is the prudential norms on IRACP pertaining to advances, is issued on October 1st, 2021, which is applicable to all commercial banks. It means it is applicable to us also when we are visiting the branch. This master circular of Reserve Bank of India consolidates instructions of all the instructions up to which are issued by the Reserve Bank of India up to September 30, 2021. So we will be discussing, we'll be going through the highlights of the circular. This is into 4 parts. Basically, part A deals with the income recognition and asset classification. Part B1, that is framework for resolution of stressed assets. Part B2 deals with the prudential norms applicable to restructuring, that is very important. Part C is miscellaneous, and part D is annexures wherever it is referred. So now part A deals with the definition of NPAs, basically, even out of order, which is most important. Then income recognition part, asset classification, provisioning norms, and finally the writing of NPAs. And these are the other circulars which are very, very important related to the audit of advances, which RBI has issued during this financial year 21-22 only, over and above the RBI master circular on IRAC norms. The first circular, that is dated May 5, 2021, and the further clarification on June 4, 2021, that is resolution framework 2, resolution of COVID-19 related stress of MSMEs. September 14, 2020, that is, though it is issued in the year 2020, but the time given to the banks to implement the same was up to 30th June 2021. So that is why I consider this as the very important, because the RBI has come up with the, RBI has observed in the, sorry, hello? Hello?
Hitesh, you can go on, I think.
Okay.
Bye.
That is related to automation of IRSCP norms process. So now there should not be, means henceforth, that is from 1st July 2021, there should not be any manual intervention with related to compliance of the IRAC norms, for which the time was given to the banks. And all the banks have religiously compiled the same, or complied with the same, and they have submitted the report with the Reserve Bank of India that yes, it is automated. So our responsibility is that at the branch level, for any change, there should not be any manual intervention by the branch authorities. So everything related to income recognition or asset classification or provisioning processes, it should be on automatic basis. Then again, RBI came up with the new circular that is a clarification actually to the master circular, that November 12, 2021, the specification of due date, they have come up with the clarification of specification of due date, repayment date, SMA and NPA, etc. And on February 15, 2022, there was the clarification on IRAC norms, definition related to out of order. These four, I suggest that we should have the copy of these 5 circulars handy at that point of time whenever we are visiting, or in the system, that is fine. So as we all know, what is NPA? In layman terms, it is the asset, including the lease asset, becomes the non-performing when it ceases to generate the income for the bank. That is nothing but the NPA. So NPA, which are the facilities and which are the parameters to classify the account as NPA is, in case of term loan, the interest and or installment of principal remain overdue beyond 90 days time. The definition is same as per this master circular also. In case of overdraft or cash credit limit, right, the facility remains out of order, as I will be discussing in the next slide. Bills purchased, if the bills purchased or discounted remains overdue beyond 90 days time, and in case of agricultural loan, short duration and long duration crop, that is 2 crop season respectively, 2 crop season and 1 crop season respectively for agricultural loans. Securitization transaction, derivative transaction, generally it will not be at the branch level because it is with the specialized branches. So the most important terminology which I repeatedly saying that which will have the great impact during this year is that the out of order. So first let us understand what is out of order. Out of order, if the outstanding balance remains continuously in excess of sanction limit or drawing power for 90 days. In case where the outstanding balance in the principal operating account is less than sanction limit or drawing power, but there are no credit continuously for 90 days. I have deliberately earlier that was, and the misunderstanding was that now let us read it once again, that in cases where the outstanding balance in the principal operating account is less than sanction limit or DP, but there are no credit continuously for 90 days as on the date of balance sheet. It means if my sanction limit is 100 rupees and during the year there is no credit or credit was insufficient, right, to cover the interest charged during the year for more than 90 days, the bank's interpretation to this clause that as an auditor you have to verify the same as on the balance sheet date only. So there is a clarification now in alignment with the other definition for 90 days, it will now be for 90 days. The as on the date of balance sheet word is removed. So if during the entire year, not exactly on the balance sheet date, but if it remains overdue for more than 90 days, even the sanction limit, outstanding is less than sanction limit or the drawing power. એટલે મારું કહેવાનું એમ છે કે ડ્રોઈંગ પાવર 100 રૂપિયા છે, સેન્કશન લિમિટ 100 રૂપિયા છે, આઉટસ્ટેન્ડિંગ 80 રૂપીસ છે, પણ 3 મહિના એટલે કે મોર દેન 90 ડેઝ સુધી જે 3 રૂપિયા ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ ચાર્જ થયું છે એની ક્રેડિટ જો એકાઉન્ટમાં નથી આવી, then that account will be considered as the NPA account, or the credits are not enough to cover the interest debited during the same period. These accounts should be treated as out of order. And if that account remains out of order for more than 90 days, then in that case, that is to slip to NPA. So what is the clarification? Clarification is that it is continuously in excess of sanction limit or drawing power for 90 days. That is out of order. Second, if it is less than, we have discussed, less than sanction limit or DP, but no credit or insufficient credit continuously for 90 days. Third, it is applicable to all loan. It is applicable to all loan products of OD. I in my initial discussion have said that now the banks are coming up with the very, very innovative ideas, innovative products also, that we have to consider that which IRAC norms will be applicable for that particular product. It is applicable to all loan products of overdraft, including those not meant for business purposes too, and or which entail interest repayment as the only credit. Now the point is that there is a business loan. For example, a business loan product is there that if you mortgage your any property and take the business loan, or say for example the even the many NBFCs also have come up with this product, that unsecured loan to a certain extent is permitted, wherein it will be in the nature of case credit or overdraft. There is no stock statement required, no hypothecation of stock, no collateral security, nothing. Right? Say for example, I am sanctioned the business loan of 20 lakhs of rupees by the bank, wherein that is absolutely unsecured. I need not have to pay EMI on a monthly basis, but I can use it whatever time I want to use. Say, for example, today I have the spare fund and I want to deposit. So only the interest will be as per the CC account only. That will be charged to my account. Now, the point is that is in case of business loan, they are not asking for the purpose also. I want to invest the same into the share market, or I want to purchase something else. So it doesn't make any difference so far as this out of order definition is concerned, including those not meant for the business purposes and which entail the interest repayment as the only credit. EMI is not there, you have to pay the interest only, that is fine. This provision is applicable to those accounts also. So in case if the branch is allotted to any one of us, is the personal segment or retail segment branches, this type of products will be there. 90 days period for sorry, hello.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, someone unmuted himself.
Okay. 90 days period for determination of out of order status of a cash credit or overdraft account shall be inclusive of the day for which the day end process is being run. As we have discussed already, that RBI has come up with this automation of IRSCP norms right in the month of September 2020, and which is applicable to all the banks religiously, that everything should be automated or automatized, right? So here also the day end process is being run. It means the when, say for example, day end activity at the branch level is being done at 6 p.m. in the evening on a particular day, right? If on that particular point of time 90 days period is over, the account will considered as the out of order, right? So that is also very important. Against the specification of due date or repayment date. Now, any loan sanctioned after December 31, 2021, that is in current year, let us understand the what is written in the circular is that exact due dates for repayment of a loan, frequency of repayment, amortization between principal and interest, examples of what is SMA or NPA classification dates, etc., to be specifically mentioned in the loan agreement. So for this time, if any loan is sanctioned during the year and the disbursement is after the first, any loan sanctioned after the 1st January, right? So in that case, this is the instruction that all these should form part of the agreement with the borrower. It means the borrower should be aware of everything. Borrower to be appraised about the same and subsequent changes also by in written communication. In case of moratorium on principal and or interest, the exact date of commencement of repayment should also be mentioned in the loan agreement. આપણે લોકો જોઈએ છે કે સેન્કશન લેટરમાં લખ્યું હોય કે મોરેટોરિયમ ફોર પ્રિન્સિપલ રીપેમેન્ટ 6 months. પણ 6 months ક્યારથી? કારણ કે સેન્કશન થઈ છે 30th સપ્ટેમ્બરે, સોરી, હા 30th સપ્ટેમ્બરે, અને ડિસબર્સમેન્ટ થયું because of the documentation delay and everything. Disbursement happened on 1st of November. So 6 months moratorium will be from 1st of November or 30th September. So now it is mandatory for the bank to appraise the same to the borrower with the exact date of commencement of repayment also. And in case of this is for the any loan sanction after December 31st, 21. But for existing loans, the loans which are existing, compliance of all of the above will be as and when such loan become due for the renew or review. At the time of renew or review, all of the above condition which we have discussed, right, is required to be complied by the branch. Now, one more important terminology is SMA. What is SMA? As we all know that stress management account basically, right, is introduced in the year 2019, if I'm 1819, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely before this financial year only. So what is SMA 0 and what is SMA 1 and what is SMA 2? For continuous monitoring of the overdue accounts, the concept was introduced and the reporting thereof is also mandatory, that wherever now in case of loan other than the revolving facility, that is term loan, nature is term loan. So when the interest is charged or the installment is due on the very same date it is due, and next day it will, by the end of the, means once the day end process is over, it will become overdue, right? So any interest in a particular borrower account is charged on 29th of a particular month. Once the day end activity is completed at the branch level, right, same will become overdue. 29 સવારે ચાર્જ કર્યું અને સાંજના ડે એન્ડ એક્ટિવિટી ક્લોઝ થઈ, બરાબર, એટલે એ એકાઉન્ટ ઓવરડ્યુ થઈ ગયું. So the reporting requirement is that SMA 0, 1 and 2, if the loans other than the revolving facilities, the overdue up to 30 days, from 1 to 30 days, right, the same is SMA 0. SMA 1 is overdue for more than 30 days but less than 60 days. 31 to 60 days window, and SMA 2, which is very crucial for us as an auditor, is to review SMA 2 more diligently. That is wherever the overdue is more than 61 days and up to 90 days. Once it is crosses 90 days, then it is NPA. And in case of loans of revolving facility, that is CC and overdraft, in case of SMA 1, there is no concept of SMA 0. SMA 1 is overdue for more than 30 days. Here the word is more than 30 days and up to 60 days. So in case of cash credit account, if the interest charged during the month is not adjusted or not paid, not adjusted through credit or not paid by the borrower, it will become overdue and it will be reported as SMA 1 if it is more than 30 days and up to 60 days. And in case of SMA 2, the overdue will be for more than 60 days, that is 61 days up to 90 days. that I have discussed, that it is to be flagged as overdue as part of day end process for the due date, irrespective of the time of running such processes. સાંજે 5 વાગે બી કર્યું તો 5 વાગે overdue. And it is applicable to all loans except agriculture advances, obviously, because it is governed by the other IRAC norms, irrespective of size of exposure. 10,000 રૂપિયાનું પ્રધાનમંત્રી પેલી ગ્રાન્ટમાંથી સોરી એ લોન મળી હોય કે 100 કરોડ રૂપિયાની હોય, irrespective of size of the exposure of the advance. Yes, that we have discussed that. Now the point is that if what will be the NPA classification in case of interest payment only. So as per the master circular, the NPA para number 2.1.3, that NPA only if the interest due and charged during any quarter is not serviced fully within the 90 days from the end of the quarter. So in case of term loan, meaning thereby that in case of term loan, the interest charged during the quarter, say for example, June quarter interest is charged on 1st July. So if the interest is charged on 1st July, and if it is not paid within 90 days, during the 90 days time, by the end of the quarter, then and only then it will be considered as NPA. Now the RBI has come up with the clarification also that it will become NPA in line with all other IRAC this thing, that NPA if the interest applied at specified rest remain overdue for more than 90 days. Now the end of the quarter terminology is done away with, and any such account becomes overdue on or after March 31, 22, its classification as NPA shall be based on as per clarification. એટલે આ વખતના ફિનાન્શિયલ ઓડિટમાં આ પહેલી as per master circular જે instructions છે પેરા 2.1.3, that is original, right? That is to be covered. એટલે હવે તમે 90 days આ વખતે નહીં પૂછી શકો, because this explanation, I think clarification came in the month of February itself, and any such account which will become overdue on or after 31st March 22, so that will go to the next year. So till that time, for this financial year, we are governed under the para 2.1.3 of the master circular. Income recognition, as we all know, once the account slips to NPA, right, that is anything will be on case basis, right? And in case of rest of the standard assets account, it can be can record the income when the income is accrued in standard accounts. So now the reversal of income. If any advance, including the bills purchased or discounted, becomes the NPA, entire interest accrued. I discussed at the time when we discuss about MOC's issues, right? That if my outstanding is 100 rupees and my account slips to NPA on 31st March 2022. So if in that 100 rupees, 2 or 3 rupees is the interest which I have not paid, because of which my account slips to NPA, that 3 rupees is to be reversed first. So the MOC will be interest accrued debit and advance is credit. So my outstanding will be 3 rupees minus, 100 rupees minus 3 rupees, that is 97 rupees. So first MOC will be for interest reversal, and second will be for the suggestion of the provisioning on that 97 rupees, right? It means the entire interest accrued and credited to income account in the past period should be reversed if the same is not realized. And this will also apply to central government guaranteed accounts also. So IRAC norms for the central government guaranteed accounts also, that central government guaranteed account should not be need not be classified as NPA, right? But however, so far as the recognition of income part is concerned, even if the account is irregular and is as per the IRAC norms, which is applicable to other advances also, and in case of central government guaranteed account also, if the interest is not paid, the branch need not classify the account as NPA. Auditor need not suggest the MOC for the same. But however, if the interest is recognized in those accounts, that is to be reversed, right? So appropriation of recovery in NPA's accounts. That is very important question, that whatever is the whatever is the partial recovery received in the NPA accounts, how to appropriate the same. Interest realized on NPAs may be taken to income account, provided the credits in the accounts toward the interest are not out of fresh or additional credit facilities sanctioned to the borrower. Last time એવું થયું કોવિડમાં જે 20% એડોક લિમિટ આપી, તો એડોક લિમિટમાંથી જ ઓરિજિનલનું આઉટસ્ટેન્ડિંગ છે એ એડજસ્ટ થયું, but that was permitted. So that is the reason it was permitted by the regulator. But otherwise મારે ₹2 ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ ચૂકવવાનું છે અને મારું ઓવરડ્યુ છે, અને if the branch sanction me the ₹5 ad hoc limit, right, that should not be permitted, right? So in NPS, banks to reverse the interest already charged and not collected and stop further application of interest. Income recognition policy for loans with moratorium on payment of interest also. एक second. So wherever the moratorium is permitted in any loan account, the lending institutions have to recognize the income on accrual basis. Even though there is a moratorium on repayment of interest too, the lending institutions has to recognize the income on accrual basis for those accounts which continue to be classified as standard. Same shall be evaluated as per the definition of restructuring. So RBI's master circular, para number 1 is there for prudential framework for resolution of stress assets. That is June 7, 2019, wherein it is very much clear that once the account is in standard, even the moratorium is there for repayment of interest too, in case of infra projects and other projects, basically non-infra projects too. Then in that case, the interest is to be recognized on accrual basis. Interest recognized during the moratorium, permitted at the time of sanction of the loan, need not be reversed if the account turns NPA after the moratorium is over. Say, for example, my loan is sanctioned on 1st July 2021. The moratorium is there for 6 months. And in that 6 months period, that is from July to 31st December 2021, during that 6 months period, since the moratorium is there, the interest will be charged to my account and it will be recognized in the P&L of the branch. Right? And however, if my account turns NPA on 31st March 2022, right, the interest which was charged from 1st July to 31st December need not be reversed, even though it was not paid. But any interest charged after 31st December and at the point of that date of NPA, that needs to be reversed. Right? કોઈને ક્વેશ્ચન હશે તો આપણે આમાં ડિસ્કસ કરીશું, કારણ કે પ્રેક્ટિકલી આમાં ઘણા ઇશ્યુઝ થશે. So what are the classification? These are the 4 asset classification: standard, substandard, doubtful, and loss. We all know that standard asset does not disclose any problem, does not carry more than normal risk, and it is not a non-performing asset. Substandard, if it remained in NPA for a period less than or equal to 12 months. So from the date of NPA, it will be into substandard, the advance will be into the substandard category for 12 months from the date of NPA. Then it will slip to doubtful. And if it remains in that substandard category for a period of more than 12 months and collection and liquidation in full is highly improbable or questionable, that is, we can directly classify the same as the doubtful too. Loss asset, loss identified by the bank, second by the internal or external auditors, and third by the RBI inspectors. Downgradation pattern to be followed generally, right? Standard, substandard, doubtful, D1, D2, and D3. D3 is loss. right? And in certain cases, the same can be directly declassified to doubtful or loss category when if the erosion in the security is more than 50% of the original amount, then the asset will be classified to doubtful straight away without classifying the same as the substandard also. And if the erosion in value of security is more than 90% or fraud, then it is straight away to the loss asset. At the time of classifying the account as NPA and security valuation, is as per the valuer, if it is less than 90% of the original security valuation, it should be straight away classified as loss asset. So now upgradation. So at the time of upgrading the account, only option is to standard account from any of the categories. That is, any of the categories, step-by-step ladder need not to be followed at the time of upgrading the account. Sorry, બે વખત આવ્યું upgrading the account. Doubtful to direct standard, substandard to direct standard. પણ હું doubtful માંથી substandard માં ના લઈ જઈ શકું. That is upgradation. And only upon receipt of the entire arrears of interest and principal account should be upgraded, right? So there is one more clarification which is highlighted in this slide only, where the lending institutions has multiple exposure. મારી vehicle loan પણ છે અને મારી term loan, housing loan પણ છે. There should not be any overdue. No overdue status needs to be achieved with reference to all the exposure of the borrowers. One NPA and another account in SMA category is not permitted. For example, my vehicle loan account slips to NPA on 31st March 2022, right? But at that point of time, my housing loan account is in SMA 1 category. For example, 1 month overdue of interest and installment is there. And if on 30th June 2022, if I am repaying the entire overdue of my vehicle loan, right, the upgradation is not permitted henceforth, right? I will have to repay the entire overdue, that though it is for 1 month or 2 months, in my housing loan account also. Then and only then it is permitted. So treatment of bill discounting, this is bill discounting ni અને advances na NPA norms ma me આ presentation ma જેટલા critical છે which requires the explanation only, that only I have covered. That in case of the bill discounting under the LC favoring a borrower should not be classified as NPA when any other facility granted to the borrower is classified as NPA. If a borrower's case credit or term loan account slips to NPA and he is enjoying that non-fund based facility, and under that facility the bills are discounted, which is backed by the LC favoring the borrower, LC of a nationalized bank, obviously, then in that case, even though my account slips to NPA, funded account slips to NPA, this should not be classified as NPA. However, in case the documents under LCs are not accepted on presentation, for example, on the due date, if the documents are not accepted or the payment under the LC is not made on the due date by the LC issuing bank for any reason, and the borrower does not immediately make it good, then the amount make it good, then in that case the entire outstanding bills discounted will be immediately classified as NPA without waiting for 90 days period time also. When the borrower is enjoying multiple facility in the form of non-fund based and fund based facilities, અને મને એવો ડર છે આ વખત પૂરતો સ્પેસિફિકલી કે because of this COVID pandemic આ પ્રકારના issues branches લેવલે વધારે આવશે. That is the reason I thought that let me discuss this here. Provisioning, now the last part is provisioning. We have the time, no? Karan bhai?
Yes, we do have time.
Okay.
Yes, we do have time.
So provisioning, एक second. So we will be discussing now the provisioning which is required. And in case of standard assets, nothing to be worried at the branch level because everything is being taken care at the head office level. However, in case of farm credit, which is related to agriculture advances, 0.25%, 1%, 0.75%, and all other loans and advances, it is 40% in standard asset. We need not have to certify. Even at the time of certifying our advances statements also, we need not have to certify because all the provision, whatever the provision is, we have to suggest. The effect of the same is being taken care at the head office level, and it is the responsibility of the central statutory auditor to verify whether it is provided in the books of the bank or not. The provision towards the standard assets need not be netted from the gross advances at the branch. તમને એમ છે કે 5,000 રૂપિયાની ટોટલ સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ એસેટ છે પણ એઝ પર ધી રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ 40% પ્રોવિઝન ઇઝ રિક્વાયર્ડ ટુ બી મેડ અને એ 5,000 ના 0.40% પ્રોવિઝન આપણે કરવાનું અને ગ્રોસ એડવાન્સ માંથી નેટ કરવાનું. આન્સર ઇઝ નો. વી નીડ નોટ હેવ ટુ ડુ ઇટ એટ ધ બ્રાન્ચ લેવલ, રાઈટ? એન્ડ but that is related to the head office only. I inadvertently અહીંયા cover કરી. It is to be shown separately as the contingent provision against the standard asset under the other liabilities, but that is at the head office level. Provisioning for substandard, general provisioning is 15% on the total outstanding should be made without making any allowance for ECGC guarantee also. And security cover 100 rupees. If it is ECGC is 2 rupees, security cover is 100 rupees. Then in that case, irrespective of these two, 115% provision is required to be made. Second, the unsecured exposures which are identified as substandard would attract additional provision of 10%. That is 25% on the outstanding balance. Unsecured portion eno hoy to 25% provisioning karwan થાય. But here also the catch is that if my exposure is unsecured, my entire exposure is unsecured. Say for example, I explained a business loan is given to me and that is unsecured, right? There is no security except other than my personal security, right? In that case, total 25% is required to be. So in case of doubtful assets, the 100% of the extent to which the advance is not covered by the realizable value of the security to which the bank has a valid recourse, and the realizable value is estimated on the realistic basis. Unsecured portion, once my account slips to NPA, whatever is the unsecured portion, even if it is D1 or D2, 100% provision is required to be made, right? Regarding the secured portion, provision may be made on the following basis at the rates ranging from 25%. So if the account remains in doubtful category up to 1 year, right? That is 25% on secured portion and 100% on unsecured portion. If it is in that category from 1 to 3 years, between 1 to 3 years, 40% provision is required to be made on secured portion once again. Whatever is the unsecured portion, 100%. But if the account remains into doubtful category for more than 3 years, 100% provision is required to be made. Loss asset is a loss asset. It is always written off. And if loss assets are permitted to remain in the books for any reason, 100% of the outstanding should be provided for. So this is very important according to me. And I don't know whether it is resolution of COVID-19 related stress of MSMEs. The RBI and government has come up with number of clarification into this, and I try to summarize the same here, which is very relevant for 21-22 branch audit only. That, and I will read one by one, that borrower should be classified as MSME as on March 31, 2021 in terms of Gazette, Government of India Gazette notification dated June 26, 2020. First condition for this. And see, the purpose for why I discussing the same here is that otherwise any change in the sanction terms will be considered as the restructuring, and any restructuring will be considered will be classified immediately as the NPA account. But RBI has given the forbearance in view of this COVID-19 pandemic to MSMEs, and that is applicable to MSMEs which are MSME as per the Government of India notification dated June 26, 2020. Borrower entity should be a GST registered as on the date of implementation of restructuring. GST હોવું જ જોઈએ. Aggregate exposure, including non-fund base, should not be more than 50 crores as on March 31, 2021. Earlier it was 25, and then it is extended up to 50 crores. So wherein the MSME has the exposure of more than 50 crore, that will not be eligible for this forbearance. So any exposure, including non-fund base. એટલે નોન ફંડ બેઝ નો એક્સપોઝર બી બહુ ઇન્ટરેસ્ટિંગ સમજવા જેવો છે કે 100 રૂપીસ, અરે માની લો કે 20 crore rupees is the fund base and 30 crore is the bank guarantee which is permitted by the bank. અને બેંક ગેરંટી યુટિલાઇઝ થઈ છે 20 crore રૂપિયા, બરાબર? અને 20 crore રૂપિયાની આપણી ફંડ બેઝ ફેસિલિટી તો ઓલરેડી યુટિલાઇઝ થયેલી જ છે. So what will be the exposure, 40 crore or 50 crore? That will be 50 crore. Even the unutilized exposure in non-fund base also, એટલે fund base નું exposure લેવાનું, non-fund base નું fund base નું outstanding લેવાનું, non-fund base ની sanction limit લેવાનું. That way we have to consider. Then the restructuring to be invoked by September 30, 2021. That if the borrower comes to the branch that because of this COVID, my business has taken hit and I will not be able to repay as per the original sanction terms, right? And if the branch agrees, considering all this criteria, if the borrower is satisfying, in that case, the restructuring is to be invoked by not later than 30th September 2021. And one more important condition is that that particular borrower should not have availed the benefit of earlier forbearance of restructuring, right? That is, it should not be restructured earlier collectively as the MSME restructuring, right? That is where એક વખત benefit લઈ લીધો છે તો એમને આ benefit ફરીથી under this circular that is not permitted. Important condition is that account to be a standard asset as on 31st March 2021. બરાબર? 31st March 31, though overdue, but it has to remain in the standard category. That is very much important. Restructuring to be implemented within 90 days from the date of invocation. So it means during this financial year, since the latest date for invocation of restructuring is September 30, 2021, and it is to be implemented within 90 days, it means the cases will be there at the branch level of this type of restructuring also. And that we'll have to see with the greater detail. And the account need not be classified as NPA if all the conditions are satisfied by the borrower. The important is that lending institutions are to keep provision of 10% of the residual debt of the borrower in their books. But that will be taken care at the head office level, right? But we will have to certify the same, that on a number of borrowers have availed this benefit, and we are suggesting 10% provision. The banks will come to the branch auditor for that certification too. And if the account is downgraded between 1st April and the date of implementation, this may be upgraded. Now the point is, as since the first and foremost condition is that account has to be in standard category as on 31st March 21. But from 1st April 21 to 30th September 2021 or the date of invocation of restructuring, if the account slips to NPA, right? That upgradation is permitted by virtue of this circular. So according to me, if you ask me, this particular year for 22-23, 21-22, the most important for all of us branch auditor is to look into this type of restructuring only. And there will not be much slippages during the year also. Even that was in the last year too, because of this forbearance due to this pandemic, right? And so that's all from my side, President Sir. If any questions or any issues which participants would like to discuss, definitely we'll discuss.
I think there is one question from Gaurang Bhai that is already in the chat box.
Okay.
With regards to the MOC.
Obviously, yes. One second. Whether materiality ground is very much important, sir. So if it is not material, we should avoid at the most what we can take is, for example, if the interest is less charge in the account and the outstanding is 50 lakhs of rupees, and in interest calculation, the interest, there is a short charge of interest by 5,000 rupees. At most, as an auditor, current date ma voucher pass karai do, so it is recognized. But we should avoid that MOC also. Many of the banks have given the instruction also to the branch auditors that a particular level of MOC should not be given. Say, for example, in State Bank of India, if it is less than 50,000, you avoid the MOC. But when the MOC is related to classification of advances is there, right? In that case, it is very much important to give the MOC, irrespective of, there is no materiality level for that.
If anybody has any other question, can unmute themselves and ask. Anish Javeri is asking, can we take stock as security where stock statement is not furnished?
No. No, simple no. Yes, the only point is stock statement is not furnished. They furnish this type of cases will not happen. Yes, but there might be delay in submission of stock. But we should not accept the stock statement older than 90 days. Anand, it is 90 days, no? Anand is there? Or 180 days? It is 90 days, yes.
Yes, it is 90 days.
90 days.
Only Hitesh bhai, in case of, for the, suppose, if some valuation is required to be done, okay, for an NP account. So even RBI has given a sort of guidance that the auditor may also assess the valuation from his part also. So certain times what happens is NPA થઈ ગયું હોય, maybe valuation ને બધું ના આવ્યું હોય, then we go according to balance sheet also. If they are recognizing the same valuation જે એમના જૂના 5 કે 10 વર્ષ પહેલાના valuation કરાવેલા હોય, and when we feel, so at that time you can take cognizance, but it is not advisable. I mean,
no, I don't think, I beg to differ here, Anand. Because in case of NPA account, RBI is very clear. If the valuation is the valuation report is more than three years old, right? In that case, we need not have to take into consideration.
Yes, it is
there. On conservative basis, I think we should provide for it. No problem. કારણ કે બેલેન્સ શીટમાં તો એ કેરી કરે જ ને, બેલેન્સ શીટમાં તો થવાનું જ છે.
હા, એટલે certain valuation હોય, but where auditor feels કે આ valuation વધારે છે or something like that, at that point of time આપણે પણ પોતે જાતે પણ આપણે valuation કરી શકીએ છે. When we feel કે આ valuation is high, at that point of time,
yes, the question was about the stock statement basically.
Yes, then in normal circumstances, no.
So that's it.
Yeah, Bhavesh Bhai is asking whether post-implementation status needs to be checked for resolution of MSMEs.
Post-implementation status, so first, then it will be governed by the normal IRAC norms only.
Yes.
Once it is restructured, MSME is restructured, and if it is not behaving as per the restructuring plan, and if there is any delay and out of order definition, after we discuss delay of 90 days or more, in that case, it is governed by normal IRAC norms only.
We will wait for one more minute. If anyone has any other questions, then both faculties are here.
Pelu, everyone, I think, if you can throw light, આપણે balance sheet, suppose stock ની details છે બધી bank જોડે. But when we are looking at the balance sheet and if we see substantial difference, જે એને સબમિટ કર્યું છે સ્ટોકનું અને બેલેન્સ શીટમાં જે સ્ટોક દેખાય છે, તો એવા કેસમાં શું કરવું જોઈએ? આ નોર્મલ ક્વેશ્ચન્સ હોય છે જ બધા.
પણ જનરલી અંડર ધેટ સર્કમસ્ટન્સીસ એવું હોય કે બેંકમાં જે વેલ્યુ સ્ટોક આપ્યો હશે ને એની વેલ્યુ વધારે હોય ફોર ડીપી પર્પઝ.
Yes.
રાઈટ એન્ડ ફોર બેંક બેલેન્સ શીટ તો ઓડિટરે જે સર્ટિફાઈ કર્યું હોય એ હોય. But if that irregularities comes to our notice, basically appropriate step as an auditor should also be taken by us. But I am doubtful for that. Why? Because Anand, when we will be visiting the branch, no, then in that case we will not have the financials of the borrower of the latest financial year, right? We will have the financials of previous financial
previous
but bank will argue or the branch will argue that that is the means that comes under the audit of 2021. So if any inherent weakness is there in the account, right, I think that should be taken care first.
And 10% variation is okay, but if we feel that there's more, because એનું ડીપી કેલ્ક્યુલેટ થઈને આખા વર્ષના અંદર થયું છે 31st માર્ચ નું જે
is fine, but I think it should be seen case to case basis.
આ જે સર્ક્યુલરમાં જે ચેન્જ આવ્યો ને 90 days વાળું જે ચેન્જ થયું any point of time during the year, so we were just having thought process in office કે ભાઈ આ વસ્તુના અંદર આપણે શું કોગ્નિઝન્સ લેવો જોઈએ. So let us see how things
but that is to be seen case to case basis according.
Yes.
Okay, there is a question from Tanmay Trivedi. Is it compulsory to have stock insurance coverage before disbursement of funds?
Generally, post disbursement compliance is there. Bank will insist, right? But it is not required. But one should have the copy of the insurance coverage, basically. But that will come, even for our verification, it will come after the disbursement only.
LFAR માં ધ્યાન દોરી દેવું આ વસ્તુ.
LFAR માં દોરી દેવા. Insurance coverage is must. That is the requirement. Before disbursement or after disbursement, I don't think have any much problem basically. And generally, the bank અત્યારે disbursement માં બહુ fast હોય છે.
અને sanction ના terms જોઈ લેવાના. જો penalty કેસના કારણે
specific
લાગતી
conditions are there.
Penal interest હોય તો એ recognize કરી દેવાનું આવા કેસમાં.
Right, Karan bhai?
All right. So I would now like to invite PA Sarjubhai Mehta for vote of thanks to our both faculties. And thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
There is one question. एक minute before we end up with before Sarjubhai steps in, there is one more question that has just come on the chat. Insurance of stock should be 110%.
It depends on the bank's policy basically. What is the terms of the condition? Jayesh bhai, તો બેંકની પોલિસી પ્રમાણે છે.
I would request Sarjubhai to please take over. Sarjubhai. I think Sarjubhai. Karan, if you can propose the vote of thanks, please.
Yeah. So
Sarjubhai.
He was having some technical issue. That is what.
He is there. We'll wait for a second.
Yeah. Sarjubhai, if you can please propose the vote of thanks.
All right. I think there is a technical problem on his side. So thank you very much, CA Anand Sharma and CA Hitesh Komal for not only informative but a very practical overview of our bank audit subject. And since most of us would be doing bank audits next month, this practical subject is of utmost importance. And from CA Association Ahmedabad, we are very thankful to you for coming and giving us your valuable time. And thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot to our audience also for joining today here and for a discussion on the bank audit subject. So thank you, everyone. And we are trying to arrange one more lecture on the practical aspects of bank audit, and we will meet again in that lecture again. Thank you, Hitesh Bhai, and thank you, Anand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And a token of love and affection from the association side, the memento would be given to, will reach your office in a short duration of time.
Virtual chalse हमने.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.